You ever feel like kind of like you're standing on the edge of a science fiction novel?
Mm-hmm.
That's how I feel about biotech right now.
Yeah.
Incredible potential, but it's just moving so fast. So today we're taking a deep dive into TeselaGen, a company that's basically building the software equivalent of a state-of-the-art biolab. Imagine Photoshop,
Wow.
but instead of editing pictures, you're editing DNA.
Wild, right.
It's pretty mind-blowing when you think about it. It's really blurring the lines between biology and technology, taking things that used to happen at the lab bench
Yeah.
and bringing them into the digital world.
So I was looking at their marketing stuff,
Oh, yeah.
brochures, website, the whole 9 yards, and they're calling this their molecular biology toolkit.
And it's not just analyzing data, it's like they're trying to create a whole digital playground for scientists to design and run experiments before they even touch a test tube.
What's so fascinating is the sheer scope of what they're doing. We're talking about designing DNA sequences, planning out experiments, even predicting how well a gene edit might work before you actually do it.
Oh.
That's some next level stuff.
Okay, so I have to admit, I kind of geeked out a little over their DNA assembly design features. It's like digital Legos for building with DNA.
Wow.
And it sounds like it could really speed things up in the lab.
Right. Imagine you're trying to piece together a bunch of DNA fragments. This software helps you figure out the most efficient way to do it, even suggesting the best tools for the job. Kind of like having a super organized lab partner who knows all the shortcuts.
They even mention supporting different assembly methods. Gibson, Golden Gate, Mucklow. I'll admit some of that went over my head a little bit. It's like they speak fluent molecular biologist.
Uh-huh. Yeah, it can get pretty jargony. Basically, those are just different ways of putting those DNA pieces together.
Okay.
Each with its own pros and cons.
Right.
And TeselaGen software helps you choose the right method for what you're trying to build.
Wow.
And then guides you through the process.
And get this, they even have a feature for automatically generating build instructions. Like push a button and boom, you have a step-by-step guide for building your DNA sequence.
Wow.
Sounds almost too good to be true.
It does sound pretty slick.
Okay.
And it speaks to a larger trend of making these complex technologies more user-friendly. You don't need to be a coding whiz to use this stuff, which is huge for smaller labs and startups who might not have the resources for a dedicated bioinformatics team.
So it's like they're leveling the playing field in a way, giving more researchers access to these powerful tools.
Exactly. And that has some really interesting implications for the pace of scientific discovery.
Right.
Imagine a world where more researchers, not just the ones at big institutions, have the tools to pursue groundbreaking work. That's pretty exciting.
Okay, so DNA assembly is one thing, but they also talk about CRISPR editing, which feels like something straight out of a science fiction movie. It's like gene editing on steroids, right?
CRISPR is definitely a game changer.
Yeah.
And what TeselaGen's doing is like giving researchers a superpowered toolkit to use it even more effectively. One of the things that really jumped out at me was their guide RNA score prediction feature.
Okay, guide RNA, that's like the homing beacon for CRISPR, right? Tells it exactly where to go in the DNA to make the edit.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And not all guide RNAs are created equal.
Right.
Some are more efficient than others, meaning they're better at guiding CRISPR to the right spot and making a clean cut.
Okay.
And here's where it gets really interesting. TeselaGen claims their software can actually predict how well a guide RNA will work before you even use it.
Wait, seriously, that sounds like magic. How does it do that?
No magic involved.
Oh.
Just some seriously powerful algorithms. They basically train their software on a ton of data about CRISPR experiments. So it can analyze different guide RNAs and predict things like, will this guide RNA hit the right target? Or is it likely to cause any unintended edits?
Wow.
Yeah.
That's huge. It's like having a crystal ball for gene editing. You can avoid wasting time and resources on guide RNAs that aren't going to work well.
Exactly. And it gets even cooler.
Okay.
They also have tools for designing something called CRISPR knock-in experiments,
Okay.
which is like taking gene editing to a whole new level.
Okay, break that down for me. What's knock-in? Is that like editing with an attitude?
Kinda.
Yeah.
Instead of just cutting DNA to the specific spot,
Yeah.
knock-in lets you insert a whole new piece of DNA into the genome. It's like swapping out a sentence in a book instead of just deleting a word. And TeselaGen provides a platform for designing these experiments, which can get really complex.
So instead of just disrupting a gene, you could potentially replace it with a healthy version.
Exactly.
The possibilities are mind-blowing. I can see why they're marketing this to everyone from academic labs to big biotech companies.
And that's the thing. Their target audience is as broad as the potential applications of their software.
Right.
You've got academic researchers who are always pushing the boundaries of what's possible.
Right.
Then you have startups who often have limited resources but big ideas.
Yeah.
And of course, you have the larger companies who are looking for any edge they can get in the race to develop new therapies and technologies.
It's like they're saying, we've got something for everyone, and their whole vibe is very much, let us handle the technical stuff so you can focus on the science. But, for someone like me, and maybe for our listener too, this all sounds amazing, but it also feels a little abstract.
Okay.
What does this actually mean in the real world? What kind of impact could this technology have? I mean, we've talked about speeding up research, but give me the elevator pitch. What's the big, exciting outcome here? Are we talking about curing diseases, engineering drought-resistant crops, stuff like that?
You hit the nail on the head.
Yeah.
Those are exactly the kinds of advancements this technology could accelerate.
Wow.
Imagine developing new cancer treatments in a fraction of the time, or engineering crops that can thrive in even the harshest conditions.
Right.
That's the promise of this kind of software. It's about empowering scientists to tackle these big global challenges with even more speed and precision.
It really makes you wonder what the scientific landscape will look like in 5–10 years if this technology really takes off.
Yeah.
Will we be seeing breakthroughs at a pace we can barely keep up with?
It's an exciting thought, isn't it? This could be a real turning point in how we approach scientific research.
Right.
Making it faster, more efficient, and potentially more accessible
Yeah.
to a wider range of people and institutions.
Yeah.
And who knows what incredible discoveries await us on the other side of that.
See, this is why I love our deep dives. It's like taking a peek into the future. TeselaGen might just be onto something with this whole digital biology thing.
I think so too.
Yeah.
And the most exciting part is that this is still early days.
Right.
We're just scratching the surface of what's possible with this technology.
Well, there you have it, folks. A glimpse into the world of TeselaGen and the mind-blowing potential of digital biology. We've gone from piecing together DNA like digital Legos to predicting the outcome of gene edits, all thanks to some seriously impressive software. Who knows what the future holds, but it sure seems like we're on the cusp of some incredible breakthroughs. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.